Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to a CryptoManiacs podcast. And it's blind luck that we're here and not calling 911, right, Task? Like you almost had a little bit of an accident.
Yeah, well, maybe I was a product of an accident. But anyway, that's another story. Yeah, I tried to set myself on fire, but that didn't work out so well. So now I'm just sitting here in a bunch of smoke, but doing CryptoManiacs nonetheless.
So
Oxygen
if
is
there's smoke,
optional.
should we call the authorities, or you're okay?
Oxygen is optional. I mean, we're Hivians or Hivers, whatever we're called. We
What
barrel ahead regardless of whether we
have
can
we?
breathe or not.
Like it was really easy when we were on the other blockchain because it was
Yeah,
steam.
I know.
It was. But what is it? Are we hivers? Are we Hivians? Are we
Some calls us bees. I don't know.
bees?
Bees, that kind of sounds kind of stupid. But
Mm.
I don't know. I'm not smart enough to answer these type of questions. It's somebody actually put that on what's that question and answer site now? Revlo,
Revio,
Revio,
Reviro.
Revero. That's it. Somebody actually put it on there, and I don't know.
We still don't know. There's no official note where what we're
Well, it's a
named as.
decentralized blockchain, so what the fuck's official? I mean, it's
Right,
like
exactly.
who's the official? It's like, okay, John, I designate you to make the decision, and that's the official decision in a
Perfect.
non-official decentralized capacity.
Perfect. I love it. Uh, everyone's in charge. No one's in charge. I love it.
Yeah, that's just it, and we have to look out for ourselves. Like in CTP Discord, I was looking out for Blaine, and you people blasted me. Blaine is very important to the future of views and CTP. And you're
Absolutely.
making fun of me because I'm concerned about his belly. Have you ever tried coding with a bad belly, John? I haven't, but I can imagine it's not too much fun. So,
No, but
I'm concerned about the man's well-being. Far be it for anybody to give a crap about Blaine. Everybody abused them, saying when. And I show some concern, and you all CTPers just blast me, showing how insensitive you are.
Blaine's remedy is Mountain Dew. So if it's his
Well,
if you
teach
need
their
to.
own. I mean, it's like my remedy used to be rum or scotch
Hey,
or beer or vodka or basically anything I could put my hands on. So to each their own.
it's beautiful. What
There
a
may
day.
be some medicinal properties to Mountain Dew that we don't know about.
We're not sure yet. I'm sure the studies will be in depth and revealing.
But Blaine will be the test case.
Yes, perfect.
But on that note, I am waiting for some updates on views. I mean, it's
And a brand new framework is coming.
I know he keeps talking about him and his framework, and that's like,
I know.
What the hell does that even mean? I don't even know.
Dude, it's technical speak. I mean, him and Eliane are going back and forth because they're doing like design work and stuff like this. And
they're
they
really...
start talking about this and that and design. And I just, it's completely, foreign language to me. I'm just like, sure. Do you want me to dance on camera or anything? So
I do. I want you to do your Borak. I'm still waiting for the leopard skin thong right out of the 1970s. I mean,
it's
coming
coming,
on,
man. But I will just.
When soon. I know.
I'll just put on my Buffalo Bills too.
Well, you can wear Bills out. That's when it goes viral, you want to promote your team. So I think we could make that sucker go viral. But in the meantime, I just keep pressing the next button, and that's what I do. And press next. I did write what is high for Leo Glossary yesterday. It took me many hours. I had been putting it off, and I finally got that done. So that was a big accomplishment. And
very good.
Then I got back to pushing the next button. So like somebody said in the CTP Discord, this is a great day to view. And John aptly said every day is a great day to view. So if you're not pushing the button at least 100 times a day, shame on you. You are a disappointment to humanity.
Yes, your family will shun you forever if you're not pushing 100 next
you
buttons.
deserve it.
Yep, absolutely. There's a few views questions. Are you ready to dive into the questions?
Are they asking like what's the price of Bitcoin going to be on the 32nd of January of 2039?
I'm sure there will be.
Okay, then I'm ready to
Perfect.
dive in. I love those questions.
That's all that matters. We called this one the grind. Oops. Here, let's get there. There we
Hive is a grind.
go. The grind. Still in a bear market, apparently. I guess things went down today. I don't know why, but I don't really keep up to date with why prices go the way they
Well,
do.
I mean, the Fed's raising of the interest rates the other day has been met like shit by the bond market, by the crypto market, by the equity market. So Powell's on he rolled the trifecta there.
Beautiful. We're in it for the tech, though, guys. We're in it for the tech. Keep telling yourself that. First question's up, DevPress. I have one question for Taskmaster. Taskmaster question. Every day he comes up with cool content. How come he is so consistent? And what resources does he look out for keeping up with the crypto industry? When you dive into this, I'm going to let my crazy dog out because she's scratching on the window. So over to you, Task.
Okay. I don't really, I mean, I just go to CoinGecko and I don't even do this on a daily basis, but I do it quite frequently. Of course, if you spend any time on Twitter or in threads, you're going to get information that's going out there. And really, how I come up with the content is this, I guess you could say, is from watching technology for 20 some odd years, more than that now. I just condition my mind to constantly keep thinking about where things are going, how things interrelate. You know, I do have, I guess you could say, from schooling at least, a macroeconomic background. So a lot of macroeconomic analysis is just constantly looking at things and what pillars can you put in place economically, let's say, about a country. So you look at their demographics, you look at their geography, you look at their industry, you look at their climate. And, you know, if you're an arid, dry country without much resources, not much industry, that's probably not changing over the next 10 to 15 years. And so you start taking that and applying those same concepts to cryptocurrency. And what do we know about? What can we count on? What can we look at? You know, and notice I'm not talking about markets and pricing. I mean, this is why John and I keep hammering this, is because that doesn't tell you a lot. It tells you actually, and to sidetrack here, a tangent here. I mean, right now, anybody who follows Tesla, anybody who follows me knows I'm a big fan of Tesla. I'm a shareholder in Tesla. And because Elon's messed around with Twitter and among other things, plus, you know, the market hasn't performed in general very well. Tesla's been beat up, and people are talking about, I mean, people are bringing up a lot of noise. And to me, it means nothing because the fundamentals of Tesla have not changed. The business is, if anything, moving ahead in a accelerating pace. But that's where, if you don't distinguish the noise from what's going on and you allow yourself to get caught up with, oh my God, the stock price is crashing. Well, price does not reflect value. And I say it about Tesla, I say it about Hive, I say it about crypto. Markets are like 14-year-old girls on their periods. They're emotional, they're immature, they're whiny, they're just a bitch to be around. And that's what markets are. They're driven by emotion, they're driven by fear, they're driven by greed. There's no logic to them. And yet, this is what people put weight upon. And so I get away from that. I try to connect the dots. I try to forecast where things are going. I try to look at the underlying stuff as to what's important. And right now in cryptocurrency, since we are dealing with the technology, forget hype. I've been through now 3 hype cycles with VR, and VR still nowhere to be seen. Hype doesn't mean shit. What's going on with development? What's going on with projects? What's going on with infrastructure? What's going on with costs? What's going on with affordability, ease of use? All of these things that we talk about come into play. And so that's where I really garner a lot of this stuff from. So when I watch a YouTube video or 3Speak video or read somebody's blog post or see something that's going on or read a comment, I then can try to take that and I make a note. I do like John. I write down on a piece of paper, old school, but it works. I write on a piece of paper the idea, and then I'm able to turn it into a blog post. As for the consistency, that's just I wrote a post about that the other day. I mean, what's the key to success on Hive is dedication. Approach this like your left leg is going to be cut off if you don't do it. And if you don't have a left leg, approach it like your right leg will be cut off. But either way, you're going to lose body parts if you don't do this. If you approach it with that mindset, you're probably going to show up every day and do your 1 or 2 posts, do your videos. You're going to do your commenting. You're going to do your viewing. You're going to do whatever you set out as your business. Most of what we do on Hive is monetized. That makes it a business. That means I'm showing up to do work. I'm showing up to leave comments because those can be monetized. I can leave threads. Those are monetized. I can share stuff on Twitter. That helps the monetization and the value of my stake in Hive, hopefully. I do my viewing because that feeds the engine and the machine learning engine. That's very important. All of this stuff is compounds and grows and helps to grow the ecosystem. Just like Blaine shows up each day and bangs away at code. Cal shows up each day, does his thing with his team, the Speak Network guys, who we're going to hopefully have both of them on in the next couple of weeks, one each of the next 2 Tuesdays. They're doing their thing. Block Trade shows up and has his team doing his thing. I mean, we all have a part to play. And I always put out to people, well, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
You could have walked your dog times on that one.
Oh no, it's great. Yeah, like the notes. I got my notes here, and you obviously can't read it, but I just from just being in the industry, just listening to you or reading an article or watching Twitter, I get ideas. And the 3 blog posts that I've written this past week all came from stuff I wrote down. So how you get ideas is literally you're inspired and motivated by what you see around you. You just take notes. Hey, this would be something cool I could talk about. Bang, there's your content. Just like you said, though, is so important. Treat it like a business. You are a business. You are a brand. You need to think of yourself as a blue chip stock. Why do people invest in blue chip stocks? Because no matter what, hell or high water, the dividends keep getting paid out each and every quarter or whenever they pay them out. So if you think of it that way, there's no risk. So you're constantly showing up. Now, obviously, this is just an example. Task is like looking at me side-eyed because he's like, well, I'll tell you about risk on, risk off. I know all about it. But yeah, you gotta treat it like a business and show up every day. And there's no one over your shoulder telling you to do this. You have to do it. That's part of being an entrepreneur, part of being a content creator, part of being in business for yourself is that there's no bosses. You are your own boss. You are responsible. So when I'm sitting there harping on people, keep going to views, keep making comments, and you're saying make the 500 comments, like it's hot air unless you take action. Unless you're doing this, all the advice in the world is useless. You have to take action. You have to do it.
John, I wrote an article yesterday or the day before about becoming a millionaire on Hive and treating it with the same mindset. And as I was going through some of the comments, I was thinking about this show, honestly, today. And I was thinking about you because of your experience in your industry and the background you have and what you did. And while we want to talk all nice and sing kumbaya and be all lovey-dovey and say everyone here can make it, the bottom line is the overwhelming majority of people are slugs. They're lazy. They will not do anything. And all they do is act like the 14-year-old girl on her period. They piss and moan and whine, and they want to be handed shit. And we know that whatever we've said on the last 2 years, almost 2 years, going on 2 years of CryptoManiacs, all the guests fall on deaf ears, but for, I don't know, maybe 10% of the people, 5% of the people. And you could extend that out over your 20 years in your industry. And all the coaching, all the advice, all the suggestions, all the projects you put together, and you were only talking about to a small percentage of the people, because the rest, it was deaf ears. And unfortunately, that's crypto. That's why so few people get ahead. That's why so few people have bank accounts that basically have FU money. And it's because simply luck often comes what's the saying? Luck comes dressed
Disguised
as
as hard
work,
work.
disguised as hard work. You know, you have to show up every day. You have to put forth the effort. You know, John and I did not show up to Hive with massive social media followings. We didn't show up at Hive and get $400 or $300 or $100 or $10 or $5 on our first post. We didn't make $1,500 off our first 3 posts. We had goose eggs. We had 0.02. We had 0.04. We know how it is to struggle. And you look at the number of blog posts that each of us have done. It's a shitload of blog posts. You look at the hours John and I have individually put into Hive. It is a lot of hours. I guarantee you, John puts in more than 40 hours a week in Hive. I know for a fact I put in a hell of a lot more than 40 hours a week in Hive. I'm 7 days and probably 8 to 10 hours in different capacities on Hive, research, all this stuff, you know, leaving comments, doing Leo glossary, stuff like that. It's more than a full-time job. Do you want to do that? And I understand not everybody can do that. Not everybody's fortunate where they have the time like John and I, but it's like they say in many different industries, you know, MLM and things like this, and different home-based businesses. You do not have spare time. Nobody sets up a spare time business. You do it part-time, because none of us have spare time. There's always something to do. John could be walking the dog. He could be playing with this kid. He could be doing whatever the hell the wife tells him. He could be cleaning up the house. I could be, you know, getting rid of the smoke in my house. But we dedicate the time here. We do this, you know, if you don't have full time to give to it, do it part-time. And we also preach, where are you going to be in 5 or 10 years? Because there's one thing guaranteed. If you don't die, you're going to be 5 or 10 years older. Is your wallet going to be in much better shape? Is your finances going to be in much better shape? Is your brand going to be valuable in 5 or 10 years? That's totally up to you. And we know for 90% of the people listening, 95% of the people listening, the answer is going to be no, because you're going to piss and moan and whine and get in Discord and say, oh, that's wrong. And why can't CTP do things quicker? Why does the token price up? Why can't Blaine code faster? You know, all this stuff. Why doesn't Block Trades do this? Or why doesn't Cal do that? And, you know, in the meantime, you know, there's people who put their head down and are grinding, to use the theme of this question and answer session. There's people grinding every day who are getting the rewards, putting them in Hive savings, staking them, putting them in tribal decks, diesel pools, putting them in liquidity pools, doing whatever, using DeFi and compounding their stuff.
Yep. That's it. Good stuff. That was DevPress. Thanks for the question 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, by the way, this is going to be a 4-hour show if we didn't tell you ahead of time.
My Path to Fire is in the audience. He wants to know, can you tell us about the planned updates for Leo Finance? Because there's lots of rumbling out there. The When Moon Dear Sir .tm crowd has been very secretive but out there about new UIs for Leo Finance, and Threads getting an update, and Project Blank finally coming out, and this, that, and the third. Do you have any inside information, sir?
No, I don't have inside information, but I do have some clarity. Leo Finance is Project Blank. Project Blank is not a separate project. It's incorporated. The UI, the desktop, is being reworked. Supposedly the alpha will be out by Christmas. So in the next 9 days or so, we will have at least alpha version out for testing and use. It is going to shift the focus. I don't want to say shift the maybe shift the focus is the wrong term, but it's going to highlight threads and make that to be a more a higher priority for the ecosystem or the platform.
Mm.
There is not going to be another token, just like threads. It dips into, because they are comments, it dips into the Leo reward pool and whatever the distribution is on that on a daily basis. It's the same as if we just go up and go through and upvote, 50 comments in different blog posts. That's what you're choosing to spend your voting power on. So that's where it's going to be. Leo Threads is open to any topic. It is general use, although Cal put out a post and he says his vision is for crypto Twitter, not to take over Twitter, but take over crypto Twitter, which is fine. That's in keeping with the overall theme of Leo Finance. My feeling is, to tangent a little bit, that is an opportunity for somebody else, because anybody can tap into Leo Threads. It's at the base layer. It's basically a container that any front end can tap into. And I surmise, just throwing this out there, that any application that says, you know what, why don't we tap into this and use our application as general purpose threading, if you will, for lack of a better word, maybe we can really then promote ourselves as an alternative to Twitter. This
was a change of plans then, because it was supposed to be a completely separate app and a different token, right?
Yes, initially it was. The Polycub situation taught them a lesson about being too. What happened essentially is, if I had to surmise, it's very difficult to support that many tokens, especially if you understand that tokens represent the value. They're a value capture of what you're creating. So you have Cub Finance, you have Polycub, you have Leo, you have Project Blank. I mean, you can start to see here where it gets the dilution starts to take place, and you don't have the value of that captured in any of your tokens. So now they're working hard at capturing Cub Finance by building a revenue stream through the bridges and through the arbitrage and through burning of Cub to build a sustainable model with Cub. They're rethinking Leo Finance, or not Leo Finance, excuse me, Polycub, where that may somehow, some way be tied to Cub Finance at some point in time. The idea of a new token for Project Blank is scratch. The idea of a standalone app is scratch. Now you're at, okay, we're going to build this into Leo Finance to make it part of the Leo Finance umbrella, which of course has direct ties to the Leo token. Again, if somebody takes the same premise and says, I have a front end, I have a token, I have this, I have that, and if I tap into this and I start to offer microblogging through my application and use my proof of brain token as a reward, because again, it's like comments. So if you simply tie in your token to the commenting and the upvotes, now all of a sudden you have a totally different dynamic to a front end. And this is what I've talked about in terms of the Everything app. These things are not in competition. Everybody wants to look at stuff in competition. Cal created Leo Threads. Cal created the way the data is laid down on the blockchain. Just like I created Leo Glossary. Everything I did with Leo Glossary, I created, well, except for what Gadrian created. But him and I created the content. I created the idea, but I don't own it because it's at the blockchain level. It's permissionless data. Anybody can tap into that. And it's the same thing with this. So this is where one idea starts to compound, going back to what we were talking about earlier. And I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but I think it's very important for people to see the big picture. Leo Threads is shifting its focus to have been microblogging, but Cal wants it to be crypto Twitter, which isn't a bad idea. Crypto Twitter is huge. The idea is, can Cal get 2,500 or 5,000 people using Threads? That would be outstanding for Hive. Just think of the volume of activity we'd have. But my point is, what if we go beyond that and somebody else picks up this ball and runs with it and says, you know what? It's not that hard to tap into. They already do the container. We just tap into it, readjust our UI a little bit, and now we can offer this out to a bunch of people with even a different spin on it, and maybe we can pull in 5,000 people using it ourselves.
There you go. And it's funny because the next question is actually from NFT BBG. He says, any updates on Cub and Polycub? He says, I wonder what happened to my Polycub airdropped. My mistake for leaving them on Cub Finance last March after buying $70 worth of Cub. I don't even know personally. Like, I haven't touched my Cub Kingdoms in like probably half a year. I don't know if they're even still there.
You have to move them to get the new return. So you better go in and
I hate any other blockchain other than Hive, for the record, because it's way.
Well, that's what you only go in once every 6 fucking
I know.
months.
I can't. I stay away from it. And like, Splinterlands just released the Rooney, where you can stake Rooney now and actually use it. That means I got to fire up MetaMask and figure out which stupid MetaMask I have. And I hate it. I hate.
Well, while you're in there, go to your cubdefi.com.
Yeah. Well, it's different wallets, because I was an idiot and I didn't know what I was doing when I was setting everything up. So I have 20 different MetaMask wallets. And anyways,
at least you take responsibility for your ignorance. Most people blame.
Oh, I'm a complete buffoon when it comes to this stuff. Any updates on Cub and Polycub? I don't even know NFT. I am so out of the loop with things like that because I'm just so. I'm not.
To answer it, I think the focus on Cub is they found a revenue source, and the revenue source is the BHB, BHBD, and Beehive liquidity pools, because they're looking at building the liquidity pools, and they have, I guess, pretty decent ROIs for being involved. And what that does is that creates revenues from bridging over. And then, of course, like John said, the arbitrage with BHBD, PHBD, and then HBD on one of the exchanges, Bittrex or whatever. And so that each month is generating revenue, which they're using to buy Cub and burn Cub. So they're actually adjusting the tokenomics through revenue, through activity, and looking at trying to make Cub deflationary, the Cub token deflationary. And again, if you think about it as value capture, that in theory should be enhancing the value of everybody's Cub holding, because you are reducing the supply. But they're not just doing it through goofy tokenomics and adjusting the tokenomics like we see a lot of projects doing. They're actually doing it through revenue creation. And the revenue creation is the more money, if they can 10x the liquidity pools, the idea is the bridge money will go up by 10x, and then you'll end up with the inflation on Cub is going to be bought up and burned at a greater rate than it's actually produced. And thus you end up with a deflationary token, which of course then can lead into the value appreciation, which then leads into other financial products. So I think that's where it stands right now. And they're just focusing on trying to keep building those liquidity pools and adjusting the tokenomics within Cub Finance, which that's not the worst idea. I mean, I rip on people, about just playing the monkeying around with tokenomics and not building anything. That's a financial arena. That's a DeFi arena. So your tokenomics is what you're dealing with. It's not a project like Leo Finance where if they just mess with the tokenomics, it's like, come on, build something. CTP, messing with tokenomics. No, build something. Those are the projects that need to build something. And Cub Finance still needs to build stuff, but they're in the financial arena. They're not really a social media arena like CTP or Leo Finance or some of these others.
There you go. Beautiful. Perfect. Tokenized Society is up. He said, hello, Maniacs. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. when we upload images to our posts, where are they actually stored? Are they going to be available forever? Is there a chance they may disappear one day? Very good question. Now, this is the Hive blog image server, I'm assuming.
Yep, that's where they go. Block Trades pays for and runs the Hive blog image server. And in fact, if you remember, about 6 or 7 months ago, there was that big fire in France at a server farm, and guess where we had our image server? It was at that plant, that server farm in France. Now, obviously, it's mirrored and backed up, but we were offline for a while. Yeah, that's run by Block Trades. It's part of what he provides the system. I mean, in the past, it was on the other place. It was Steam Inc. that ran it. And are they going to be available forever? As long as Block Trades around and dedicated, I would say so. But there is always the chance that some of those images could disappear. Now, keep in mind, our posts in Hive blocks is just text, because that only reads the blockchain. So, there is the immutability aspect of our posts in Hive blocks that only shows the text. Would somebody else start an image server? I mean, it's possible. Do a lot of people just put the links in these posts? That's what I do sometimes too. If you get something from Twitter or Facebook, that's already stored. You just throw in the link and it'll link it. And so it's really not even being put in on the Hive's image server. It's on Twitter or Facebook's or whatever. But then, of course, those image servers could disappear too.
So is there any way to decentralize this, like a Filecoin type thing? Like anything? No one's talked about this.
Well, IPFS, and I think one of the things Speak Network is working on is they're going to be tied into that. And not only can you upload videos, you'll be uploading images and things like that. So I think that's something that may be possible in the future, where you could upload images to IPFS and have them stored there.
Dude, you're like, are you reading these questions? Or are you?
No, I haven't even looked at them.
Because we're perfect. The next question from David Armstrong wants to know, I never hear anything lately about the Speak Network token airdrop. Is the project still going strong or what?
No, it was a rug pull. They left town. And I just said they're going to be on next 2 weeks. The airdrop has what, 2 months left, I think. We're already 10 months into it. So, they're still building. I mean, I see so much stupid shit on Hive. I mean, even from people who are dedicated to Hive, it's like, take your head out of your ass. They're building infrastructure, and infrastructure takes a long time. And, a lot of the infrastructure that they're dealing with is, stuff Disregard's doing, stuff their own people are doing. And it's just a bitch. Infrastructure is not quick. It's not sexy. And it's the priority. So, they're tying into many different projects. Some of them, they're unfortunately, like with Peer Plays, they being Speak Network, had to pick up the ball and run with it because Peer Plays was kind of stalled out. That's just the nature of the beast. And, I mean, just watch how snappy Blaine gets when people start attacking about the pace of development. It's like, he's been working all week on the framework. I don't know what the hell that means, but that's something that has to deal with the core of what's going on with views, and it takes time. It has to be done. And, there's one framework in place, another framework's being developed, and you have to make sure on the second framework. And it's not sexy. And in fact, if he didn't sit around talking to all of us about the framework, he could make that go live, and all of us probably wouldn't even know anything took place. I guess again, I don't know.
It's quite, because I've been testing out the new. This is the big update for views.
Okay, wait. This is the point in the show where John takes off his dance on camera hat and he puts on his techie hat. And
no, it's not techie. I'm just saying there's a very noticeable difference from what it's on to what it's being put onto. So even you can tell. You don't need to be a rocket scientist.
I mean, my point is, going back to Speak Network. Yes, they're plugging along. they're developing. They, I presume, still have their weekly dev meetings. You know, you look at what Starkers puts out in the Three Speak uh, Twitter. He's always saying, we're working on this, we're working on that. Dan has been focusing on Ragnarok because Dan set a deadline, and this is one of the reasons he's coming on Tuesday. He set a deadline to have Ragnarok in MirrorNet, TestNet, Alpha, something. He Ragnarok will be out in some form by the end of the year. He made that statement, and he's working hard at keeping that statement. So, you know, that's taking a lot of his time with his dev teams. But this is what development takes place. And, you know, the when soon, you know, it became kind of a bit of a joke, but, you know, that's just life with the developers. And when soon, the answer is when it gets done. I mean, when it's done,
Right.
and not
Right.
before. And that's just the way it goes.
Well, we got them back to back. Hopefully, Starkers. I mean, Dan is on Tuesday, but
And Dan is on Tuesday, and Starkers is tentatively the following Tuesday.
Right.
He might have family issues, so I got to try to lock that down. But
Right.
yeah, hopefully we will have them back to back. Dan on Tuesday will be mostly, if not exclusively, Ragnarok.
Right.
And then we'll have Starkers on to update and give a year end on Speak, and hopefully talk about the future of Speak over the next 12 months.
Perfect. My friend, your friend, everyone's friend, Jimmy Adames is up. He said, content discovery with views is a game changer. I agree. And listeners serve that purpose before it, at least for me. So are there any plans to somehow connect the two? Well, I mean, right now as is, not directly, but this goes into what Tass says a lot and what I've written about a lot over the years. My vision, it's always been my vision, Blaine's vision as well, since day one, was to take everything traditional online entrepreneurs did and put it and get rid of the traditional avenues and then make it a blockchain option. So listeners did that with viral mailers and email marketing. Views is attempting to do that for content discovery in the form of a stumble upon similarity and stuff like that. So we have this vision. It's like Three Speak instead of YouTube, you know, like to instead of Instagram, Vim.tv instead of Twitch. I mean, this is my vision. What I would love to see is where apps basically replace, like, so apps on Hive basically replace all of the traditional social media platforms. It's what I wrote about last night when I talked about, well, you know, you've talked about this a lot, but like one account to rule them all. You don't need to go and create new accounts at Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and all this stuff. You just have one account here on Hive, and then you can easily go to whichever app you need. So directly, there's no plans right now other than, obviously the CTP token is heavily into the use case for listeners. That is our game plan for views, is to use, well, is that even out there yet? Did I just let the cat out of the bag? Maybe
you
not.
Did. You fucked up again.
Probably.
Blaine's gonna beat you like with a wet noodle. Blaine, if you're listening, put on your calendar, beat John for being a big mouth.
It wasn't really, but anyways, we'll just move on.
In all seriousness, John, let me ask you a question on that point. And you're right. I've talked about it. You've talked about it. But with Elon and Twitter, this may be changing because the one account access to everything. Yes, that was an advantage to Hive. But if Elon moves to the everything app, and one of the things he's talked about is the ability to, in Twitter, be able to upload videos a la YouTube, and more importantly, a la TikTok, to shorts, which means then now you don't need a TikTok account because you can use Twitter, and you can use your Twitter account to do your shorts. And my question to you is, while I agreed with you for years on that, we might even be morphing where it's not one account gives you access to everything. It's actually one application gives you access to everything. So the point of Jimmy's question, it goes back to what I was saying about Leo Threads. And I think a new mindset that has to be adopted, and I don't know your views on this, where everybody has to look at what's out there on Hive, even if it's not their projects necessarily, where you incorporate those features into your project. So, for example, having the ability to upload videos from your application to 3Speak so that people don't have to leave your application to do it. Even though they're still using 3Speak, it's your application providing the capability of uploading and viewing.
Right.
I think that's where things are going. I think that's where the mindset of project teams has to gravitate towards and get away from this. Well, we found a niche here. We're going to be this, because that niche, depending on what it is, obviously Splinterlands isn't in this because that's a totally separate situation. But when you have stuff that overlaps, such as, well, Ecency has the internal exchange and none of these other apps do. Well, I think these other apps are going to have to integrate that. Leo Threads, that's Leo Finance, but it's at the blockchain level. Other apps see that, tap into it, and say, hey, we microblog too. You can post in CTP Talk, just as an example, and you can microthread about CTP. You can microblog about anything. We don't care. Splinter Talk could integrate it. Peak D could integrate it. All this could be integrated. And then all of a sudden, just like you do blogging, where you got all these front ends that do long form content, now you got all these front ends that do short form content or microblogging. So I think we have to be very aware that one account accesses everything. That may be quickly moving to the back of the bus, and the front seat is going to be, okay, what's in your app and how many features does your app provide?
Yeah. Well, we're obviously we're trying to do that a lot with views too. I mean, the content distribution, like you talked about, is you don't need to go to a different place to share this. I mean, if you want to share it on
Exactly.
Twitter, here's a button. You want to share it on Threads, here's a button. You want to share it on Dbuzz, here's a button. You don't need
Yep.
to necessarily leave views to share this stuff.
Yep. And so you have Views, which is a content discovery platform. Now it's also, to a degree, content sharing, content distribution. You have the ability to do your high votes. You have your ability to comment. Now, this is less than 3 weeks in.
Yeah.
We'll see in the next 6 months what gets added to Views, but there's the capability of adding a lot more to Views because a lot of the stuff is already on Hive anyway.
Right.
Now whether you take it in that direction or not remains to be seen, but you're already using basic Hive features for the commenting and the upvoting, which that is an added bonus, because imagine seeing something in Views. Well, seeing something in Views, having to go to the blog post in Peak D or Leo Finance or whatever, and then have an upvoting comment from that front end. It just takes you away from Views.
Yep. It's coming for sure. And finally, we have Farhad. He says, what new development is planned for Index Token, and do the Index tokens have Splinterland tokens in it? So 2 questions. One, all you got to do to figure out what's going on with Index Token, you go directly to he-index.io. You can see all of the holdings and everything there. But we have this funky little awesome tool inside of our Discord at CTP that basically goes over the daily returns and all of the numbers for Index Token. So the Index APR today at 10 a.m. was 32.87%. And traditionally it hovers around the 30s to even as high as 100. So it depends on really the price of what's inside of Index. So as for development, this is one of my favorite things about Blaine. Blaine likes to get things working where it's working, and Index works. You don't need to think about it. It pays out the dividends every single day. It's set it and forget it. As for the development of it, I'm not sure yet what more we could develop on Index Token other than adding more tokens to it. But that is obviously not really a development. That's just simply starting to purchase them with the funds. So the development of it, it's an Index Token. I'm not sure. Like, again, what development were you expecting would be the question I'm asking for you. Versus yes, virtual. Thank you, Blaine. Yes, I do. It's very tender. This is tender moments, man. Like yesterday was tender moments between you and Task. It's tender moments now between you and I. But yeah, so the question I would have for you, Farhad, is what did you expect? What did you look for? What are you looking for? Just
In
because I'm
other
not
words,
sure.
what the hell do you want?
No, I'm not trying to be condescending or anything. I'm honestly curious, like what other developments would you like to see is I guess the better way to frame it. As for the index token, I think we have I think 3 land plots. I'm not his tummy is all better, Tess. There you go. Blaine said.
I
So
feel better now. I was concerned. I didn't sleep a wink last night, worried about that.
I know, yeah. But yeah, we have 3 plots of land inside of Index. We also have a whole bunch of gold foil legendary cards that we rent out that contributes to the fund, which we have actually inside of some DeFi pools to get more returns for people in Index. Plus, everyone's getting their GLX airdrop every single day from the more Index tokens you hold. And that obviously depends on the APR. The higher GLX is trading, the higher all these tokens inside of Index are trading, the higher obviously your APR. Yes, Index is still investing in the SPS DEC pool. So that's constantly growing for people. So that's why I'm curious, Farhad, what exactly development are you looking for? Just because it's working really good right now without us really messing with things. And it's returning 33%. So.
And I think that goes down to, John, what you're talking about is understanding and sizing these things up properly. I mean, I'm with you. If you ask me, I mean, what's the next thing we should do with Index? I don't have.
Right.
I couldn't
I
give you
don't
an
know. I don't know. Like what do
And
we
you
do?
know, it's like you said. I bought Index when it first came out. I got a decent stake in it. And I couldn't even tell you until Blaine listed that stuff. I couldn't even tell you what I'm getting, where I'm getting it from. It just shows up. Like you said, buy it and forget it.
Yeah.
That's been my MO with it. And I get whatever I get out of it. I didn't even look at the return. I had no idea of the return. I have no idea of the price. But what else are you going to do? You buy it, and some of these tokens that the project's invested in, like you said, you also have land, you also have cards that you're renting out. So it all provides an ROI to those holding the token, and you get a little bit showing up in your account each day or every couple of days, whatever the distribution is, and that's it. And so the choice is add more Index, so you buy more Index, or you don't. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And if you buy more Index, you're going to be fighting Blaine for it.
Yes. And
so,
Dr. John, he's buying a lot too.
So I mean, that's where it comes down to. And 30%, okay, I know in the crypto world that turns people up, but 30% is a strong return. And if you take some of those other tokens and dump them and buy CTP, if you don't want those other tokens, or buy more Index, or buy what's it called down there, Hive, Swap Hive, whatever you want, Leo. I mean, it's just a way to get a return and to put it into something you want. And if you're getting paid some deck and you want to keep building your deck, or you want to keep building your GLX, there they show up. Put them on GLX, put it on the site and stake it and earn more GLX. That's compounding.
Yep.
So that's what understanding what projects are meant to do, I think, is and what different tokens, the purpose they serve, is very valuable. And too many people just look at cryptocurrency and say, well, you should do everything. And it's like, no, understand what's value capture, what is a fixed income token that is meant to deliver a yield, what are your medium of exchange tokens. Understand the different tokens, understand the different projects, and why project teams have to adjust what they're doing. Index is nothing like CTP. Index is nothing like listeners. They're different worlds, and none of those are like HBD. They operate nothing like HBD.
It's the old use case, right? I mean, Index use case was designed to do exactly what it's supposed to do. It's not the jack of all trades token. It's not supposed to be. You're not supposed to stake it. You're not supposed to put it in a DeFi pool. You're not supposed to do all that. You're supposed to literally buy it and hold it.
Exactly.
We like simple.
The use case for index is buy it and get a return, get
Right.
other tokens flowing in. The use case for CTP is to capture the value of the entire CTP ecosystem.
Yep.
The use case for HBD, since it's stable, is medium of exchange. Now, people try to cross reference them, and theoretically you could. If I owe Blaine $50, I could send them $50 worth of index tokens. But as a consistent medium of exchange, because index will go up and down, that's pretty shitty, especially if I buy a product from him and he doesn't check his wallet for a week and a half, and then all of a sudden the price of the token drops by 50%. He just gave something away at half cost. So that's where understanding what these things are and where does development come in. Like you said, with index, it's working fine. So other than maybe adding a few tokens, dropping a few tokens, adjusting the ratio, maybe, minor stuff like that, there is not much to do with it. CTP, there's a hell of a lot to do with CTP because that goes to development. So that means building out views, building out listeners, building out CTP talk, building out these different things that are under the CTP umbrella, and adding more value and getting more users and enhancing the CTP tribe, community, ecosystem, whatever. Then hopefully at some point, those of us holding CTP believe it will be reflected in the token price. That's how this stuff works. This is why I think cryptocurrencies had so many difficulties, because everybody sees currency and it's like, okay, well, what can I buy with my STEM geeks? Nothing. You're not supposed to. This is where, when people say that, it's like, that's telling people to get rid of the token. Index, you just said, it's meant to be held. CTP, meant to be held, because that's where the value comes from. That's what the design of them is. Absolutely. And I don't want to say the S word in case Gensler's listening, but that's what, index is an index. It's pretty self-explanatory. An S word is, what these currencies are, and that's what captures value. Yep. And you see that with companies. And, that's where everything goes in. And so that's where going back to the tokenomics, you can't shortcut this stuff. Those teams, and we always talk about, John, those teams that are developing, those are the ones to follow. Those are the ones to jump onto. The Leo Finance, the Speak, the CTP because of Blaine, all of that. These are projects we know they're building stuff. And I mean, there could be others out there, bro. Braden was on talking about his game or whatever he's going to be building. These are projects to pay attention to. I'm not saying to invest in any of them, buy their tokens. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying that's who you pay attention to. And of course, Hive, because look at everything is under the Hive umbrella ultimately, if you think about it in some way, shape, or form. So these are the way you size up what's taking place. Ignore what the hell they're saying on Cointelegraph. Ignore what they're saying on YouTube about, this token's going to go 100x. It may, but that's just market bullshit. Yep. Look for the people building. I mean, we beat this horse week in and week out. John and I believe this. We live this. We actually, in our own way, we're building for Hive. We're building our brand. We're building our business. And then you have people like Blaine who are actually coding stuff that we can utilize and use and taking feedback and adding. Leo Finance, Cal does the same thing. It's community driven. And that's ultimately Web3.
Yep. There you go. What a show. What a week. So
John, before we go, what are your Bollinger Bands telling us about the price of Bitcoin over the next 48 hours?
That's my answer.
Yeah. You didn't do your Bollinger Bands last night, did you?
No, I didn't band with the Bollingers last night. Yeah. But listen, you guys in those markets, you guys looking at all that stuff, be safe out there. Everyone else, just keep building. Don't even stress. Enjoy it. Have a great weekend. We'll see you guys. They Call Me Dan is up on Tuesday. He'll be talking Ragnarok and everything. He'll be one of us. He's one of us. He is a fanboy of this blockchain. So looking forward to him.
Is he?
Yeah,
I hadn't noticed.
A wee bit. You guys have a great weekend, and we will see you on Tuesday. Toodles.
Ciao.